And welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. My guest tonight is local radio personality Ray Andrewsen from AM 1220 WQN. Mr. Andrewsen.
Hi.
Welcome.
Pete.
How are you, buddy?
It's great to be back.
Oh, it's awesome to be back. I haven't seen you in a while. So
that's right.
I guess what's new?
Well, since the last time I saw you, the radio beat goes on.
Good.
Continues on AM 1220 WQN.
There you go.
Online. And your favorite phone app. So I'm pretty happy with the way things have been going.
Excellent.
Same team in the morning, Greg Little doing the news, and our radio station is very stable. We have been doing a lot of community work and a lot of community broadcasting over the last 19, going on 20 years. And what's exciting in this year, 2016, is to note that next year will be our 20th anniversary. So
really?
Many years,
All right.
on the air now, 20 years. We went on in February of 1997. After Quinnipiac University purchased 1220 back then. And the morning show started April 28th of 1997. And the full news for our station as well. So that's a long stretch in radio to do the same thing for 20 years.
Now, as far as when the station first started almost 20 years ago, were you the first morning man?
I was the first person to do a morning show, yes.
All right.
April 28th of that year started. I was not the first local voice on the station, though.
Okay.
That distinction belongs to Michelle Turner. Michelle Turner has been on many stations here in Connecticut as a broadcaster. On public radio, also commercial stations in and around Connecticut. So she was the first one to go on the air because news comes before the show.
Correct.
So the local news started as our first local segment, and then the show followed. So she is our first local voice.
All right. And for those 20 years that you've been on with the station, obviously, have you had the same news cohort in crime?
Not quite, no. The first news anchor was John DeAndre, who left to actually become the administrative aide for then Hamden Mayor Barbara DiNicola. So he lasted about 9 months, maybe 10 months with us. And not uncommon in radio for people to sort of go on one side to the other side.
No,
you work
people
in
move
government
around.
to come back into broadcasting, go back to government, go back to broadcasting.
People move around.
That's how it works in news. So he went and left then, and then Greg Little, who is the news director now, came on in 1998. So Greg can't claim the entire existence of WQN's news department as his news department. He became the news director in 2002.
Okay.
So he's been news director with that title since that time.
And how is it working with Greg?
I think after about 19 years, we probably need to change the towels. I think we need new towels. We probably need to redo the furniture in the studio. It's time for Fen Shay. We've been together 19 years with. It's been a great partnership.
Yeah.
I was trying to lobby him to change his name to Bob so we can be Bob and Ray, but I'm not sure I wanted to have second billing.
No. Ray and Bob.
Well.
Right. So I guess what's going on with the station? I understand that hockey season is over.
That's right.
And
heartache again.
I
We got
know.
all the way to the championship this
I know.
year. We got all the way there. And North Dakota's a powerhouse program. They really are. And we played very well, but that last game, just like against Yale a few years ago, when we lost the national championship.
I remember the Yale game, and I remember the game recently because I actually watched the game.
Yeah, it's remarkable. But the fever on the Quinnipiac campus was intense.
I was going to
There's
say,
a
that had to
great
be
fan
awesome.
base. It's
That
a
had
tough
to be
ticket to
awesome.
get in Hamden now. It's the Quinnipiac hockey ticket.
Really?
And they stayed for many weeks as the #1 program in the nation this year. So it was very exciting. A bittersweet season because we didn't claim the title, the national championship. But we'll get them. We'll get them.
Definitely not. And from what I understand by doing my research and my homework, that you're also on the board of directors for the Connecticut Broadcasters Association?
Yes, I joined in January, or I became a member of the board in January. And I'm very honored, first of all, because I think the CBA does great work. We obviously protect broadcast interests for television, radio stations, all the TV and radio stations here in Connecticut, and advocate on our behalf, large stations, small stations, public stations, you name it.
Right.
We are all part of it. And the thing that we try to do is also provide education, provide opportunities for internships. We provide scholarships to many graduating seniors from high school who go to various universities, not just Quinnipiac universities, but others in the Northeast and around the country. So we are very involved that way, and we also look to serve the public in terms of emergency preparedness. That's very important to us. We've had right outside your studios, as you know, during Irene and Sandy, it got a little rough along the shoreline here.
Yeah.
So we know we have dangers here in Connecticut. We have blizzards, we have tornadoes, we have hurricanes, we have natural disasters, emergencies.
Right.
State broadcasters are committed to serve our community, to provide information. And also, think about this. If you lose electricity, if you lose cell tower transmission, well, what's left? And sometimes you lose television. So radio becomes your friend in those cases. Television is also very important for transmitting information. So the Connecticut Broadcasters Association is a very, very busy place. And we do provide programs, education, as I said, and also we have a convention coming up October 17th, which this year will be at Quinnipiac University.
Excellent.
And we have it all day, and you can come to our luncheon and meet and mingle other broadcasters. We have other panels for our membership, for education. The broadcasters in Connecticut are very committed to their craft, but also around the country. The National Association of Broadcasters provides that resource for other broadcasters. There are over 11,000 radio stations, for example, just in the United States alone.
Wow.
So there are a lot of places, big country, 350 million people. So we serve a lot of communities, small communities, niche communities. We're a very big, diverse country, very ethnically diverse, multicultural population. A lot of radio formats, music, information, and emergency preparedness, as I said. So we are very busy with our craft and our mission.
Now, now you also mentioned that the Broadcasters Association also gives away scholarships.
Yes.
Can we maybe talk about that aspect of
Application
things?
process, yes.
Right.
We are not in the season now because this, as we're airing this is in the springtime.
Right.
So this is graduation time in the month of May. But if you were to apply for graduation, towards putting it towards your graduation come your senior year, if you are applying to a fully accredited college or university that offers a communications program, you can apply for those communications scholarships at the beginning of next year.
Correct.
So plan ahead. If you've got, if you're a senior here in Connecticut and you're watching this and you're planning to have a career in communications, television or radio, public relations. There are plenty of avenues now for broadcasters, electronic media, e-media. You can apply for these scholarships. That's beginning next year. There is a window and a season, so work with your guidance counselor. You can go online. The Connecticut Broadcasters Association website is a great source for that information.
Now, as far as broadcasting goes, because you've been around the broadcast world for a while. What would you tell somebody who says to you, Ray, I'm thinking about going into the broadcast field? What would you tell them for words of encouragement?
Well, and I wouldn't start with words of discouragement. I would start with words of encouragement. Number one, and it is a dramatically changed landscape. We have, if you think about what radio and television was like about 20, 30 years ago. Cable for television, local channels. It was the advent of CNN, the Weather Channel, ESPN. There wasn't much going on. Public access television was very strong. Continues to serve local communities, as you have done, Peter, for many, many years.
That's right.
But if we go back then, it was a simpler time. AM, FM radio stations. We didn't have the internet really as a factor in our lives.
Correct.
Fast forward, we now have not only international internet capability, we also have online broadcasters. We also have satellite radio, that's Sirius XM, which is part of our new opportunities for people to find listening venues and platforms. And also television has changed dramatically. And we also know with the advent of Hulu, and we also know in the advent of online viewing, podcasts. We don't have to be appointment viewers or listeners anymore.
No.
We can do this in real time, not just TiVo and tape as we did. Now you can watch and listen in a variety of ways.
Exactly.
So it's a crowded landscape.
It is.
But I would say this to anybody who's preparing a career in broadcasting. Worry about content. Be original. Be a good writer. Be very thoughtful with what you're doing. information is important to other people.
Okay.
It's not exclusive to entertainment. You can be entertaining and informative at the same time.
Right.
Also, in terms of music, understand that you won't have a broad-based audience anymore. The days of a huge audience listening are probably gone. The audiences are getting smaller and narrower because people have niche interests. So if you have a specialty, if you want to be good at one thing, that's one aspect to get in and break in if you want to be a news reporter or writer. On the other end of the spectrum, I'm a general manager and a morning host.
Right.
I've done a lot of things in my job, engineering, business, budgeting, sales and marketing. Also, I've climbed on radio towers, not all the way to the top, I might add.
Right, thank you.
A little bit height sensitive. But you have to know a little bit about a lot of things. And I would say just be a voracious consumer of information. Get to know a lot about your industry if you're thinking about doing it. And if you want to just try it out, there are plenty of college stations that offer opportunities, half-hour, one-hour shifts that you can taste it a little bit and get to see if you really like it. Invariably, I've found that many people who want to get in the industry really think that it's fun. Just like if you want to be a basketball player or a football player, and well, gee, I can play quarterback, just like Tom Brady. I have a tight spiral. You have to learn plays. There's a lot more work and practice that goes into it, honing your skill. And I would say the same thing for broadcasters. We work very hard with preparation. We just don't show up. We have to, and you're always a broadcaster. If you're a broadcaster, be endlessly curious. Everything is interesting. Right. If you are here in Connecticut, learn about the history of Connecticut, learn about gardening, learn about cooking, learn about politics, learn about sports, antiques, things you don't think you would be interested in. Right. Adopt a persona that you will find everything and everybody interesting, and I think you'll do very well.
Exactly. And then if you listen to the morning show on WQUN, you might even learn something.
Well, gee, I hope so. Well, I enjoy talking to people, as you do. I love a variety of topics and what people do. For example, you had earlier tonight, someone interviewed for an antique car show. Right. I love going to antique car shows. That's going to be Main Street, Middletown.
That is going to be Main Street,
Great Chamber of Commerce. Larry McHugh for many years is the chamber chief up there. Main Street, Middletown is a rocking, cooking place there. Exactly. It's a great, great small town in our state. It is. And Wesleyan's a great university. So that's an active place. So, learn about antique cars. It's fun. Right. Learn about anything. And I think if you're as a broadcaster, you're always broadcasting. Exactly. And what I mean by that is you're always absorbing information. You're always finding things fascinating and interesting. And then you apply them to your craft. Exactly. Ray Andrewsen, would you mind sticking around for another segment? I will, because I'm interested and curious. All right. You know what? We'll be right back. All right.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. Sitting here with Ray Andrewsen from AM 1220 WQUN. Ray, welcome back.
It's good to be here.
It is good. It's nice to be back. So as far as let's talk about the history of broadcasting for a few minutes and figure out, because now, like you said, you can listen online, you can listen through podcasts, you can listen through TuneIn, I believe.
That's right.
You can listen through the TuneIn app.
Another great app.
It is. It's an outstanding app. And what you can also do, obviously those have changed over the years, because you used to be able to you can't just listen on the dial anymore. There's the other platforms you can listen on.
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
That's right. Well, the inspiration, for a lot of people who are broadcasters who grew up with AM
Yes.
or rabbit ears.
All right.
Ghosting on television.
Yes.
I mean, dating ourselves here, I'm not really a young man, but back in that era, you would put up with inferior audio because of the skywave patterns at night from AM stations. So suppose you like rock and roll and you like Cousin Brucey on WABC, just using Cousin Brucey
In New York.
as an example. In New York.
Yes, all right.
Yee. So Brucey's now on satellite radio. He hosts a couple of shows. He sounds great. And Brucey's a little north of 80, and he's still got the passion. He sounds terrific, well produced on Sirius Radio. But also, Bruce was on in the late 50s, early 60s, Bruce Morrow, and other powerhouse stations like WABC, WLS Chicago, WKBW Buffalo.
Yeah.
There's so many stations where you could hear those signals at night, but those signals kind of go and fade and sort of sound a little squirrely at times because of the skywave patterns.
Right.
As a listener, you would tolerate that because that was your choice. They didn't have any choices. That was about all you could get.
Exactly.
And there was sort of a magic and a mystery, sort of a faraway place.
Right.
If we evolve from that point in period, daytime listening, AM and then FM, is interesting because FM in the late 60s and 70s was evolving and overtook AM in terms of the dial of choice. By the late 70s, early 80s, that transition had been made. So AM became more of a talk, news, and information channel, as FM became the music frequency.
Okay.
And for a variety, from classical to country to pop to top 40 to classic rock to oldies, all of it really was now moving to the FM dial. And it had superior quality, but FM works because you have one tower.
Yeah.
AM, you see about 4 blinking towers at night. We have 2 towers.
Okay.
Other stations have 4 towers, different arrays. They're directional to protect other signals. FM, one stick, circular signal. So it's sort of a circular pattern based on your frequency and a high point. So that's why the FM towers are on buildings in New York City, like the Empire State Building, or up on Meriden Mountain, or very high points around the landscape in Connecticut. So, having said that, FM took that aspect of radio over, and that moved through the 80s and 90s as well. However, of course, mid-90s, late 90s, here comes the internet. Here comes your AOL account. You sign on to AOL. You've got mail.
Right.
So we didn't have radio on and audio yet, or streaming really yet.
Okay.
But you remember the days of the slow internet. You download something, and it
click,
would
go,
take
while. Right.
So we got through that. We would never tolerate that today with the internet. Radio, of course, with AM for music, a lot of people wouldn't tolerate the AM sound or the alleged inferiority of the music.
Right.
However, if you have a very strong, resonant AM signal, music sounds really good.
It does.
It does, thank you, and it really does. And people appreciate that.
Right.
That's why a lot of people are going back to vinyl, and they're buying vinyl because they appreciate the sound quality of a vinyl album as opposed to the squirrely internet sound. And if you listen to even, and I'm not critiquing satellite radio in this regard, the audio quality is not very pure.
No.
It's still a satellite-driven audio. It's not a purist sound.
Right.
And FM has very good audio processing in many cases. Many FM stations sound excellent if engineered correctly.
Right.
But we now are fast forwarding beyond the 90s to the last decade.
All right.
Where online listening, people would stream, click, then there's the station.
Hit the button.
Hit the button, and you could stream on your home computer, your laptop, maybe on a handheld device. Sound quality still not very good. You had to wait for it to load. It took time. Fast forward beyond that. Now we're into an age for radio where we have not only the development of satellite, which did not get off the ground very well, financially especially, lost a lot of money. Now we have not only internet listening, we have TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, a lot of online
service
listening, but also but phone apps. You can carry it in your mobile device.
Right.
So the story I just love is it just happened a few weeks ago. I had a talk at an assisted living center near the New Haven area, and these are folks who are from their mid-70s, well north,
Yes.
And many still have standard desktop radios or stereos in there. And they do some online listening. They really are. Some mobile devices. Then you have a listening audience that had never really graduated to a phone app. So in today's lexicon, you can get a station online from Greece.
Yes.
So this is the example I use.
That's a station from Greece. That's pretty amazing.
And we can listen to WQUN the same way and other stations on your mobile device now. Plug it in. And
yes, you can.
Not the perfect sound quality, but fairly good.
Right.
But when I addressed this group, I said, well, let's listen to WQUN on my mobile device. So I took out my phone and we listened to WQUN for a minute.
You didn't listen to yourself?
It
No,
was,
because
it
you
was
weren't
in the
there.
evening when I was giving the talk.
Oh.
And then when I asked those in the crowd, where do you want to go? What country? You know, let's go to Greece. So, okay.
There you go.
So I was able to locate a station in Athens.
Okay.
A music station that,
Very
you know,
nice.
and I had to
Very
tell
nice.
them that it was all Greek to me at one time. But now we mastered it. So now we can find Greece, we can find Ghana, we can be in Bolivia, we can hear Norway, we can hear many of the stations across the United States now. With phone apps, you can access these stations.
Right.
And it's really wonderful. You like country music? Saturday night, WSM Nashville.
Okay.
The Grand Ole Opry.
There you go.
Get that on your radio as well.
There
so
you go.
Today,
Yes.
WQUN
Yes.
is competing with stations in Vietnam, in South Korea, in Canada, in the UK, United Kingdom, in Bermuda, streaming from Mexico. It's an international community of broadcasters now because of this new age.
Right.
So it opens up a world of great possibilities. But there are literally hundreds of thousands of broadcast outlets now that you can find. Now, if we dial back to and I meant dial back.
Yes.
Dial back to the 1960s.
All right.
To listening to an AM signal. And
Yes.
Cousin Brucey at night, and you're in New Hampshire or Massachusetts, and you kind of lose the station. It kind of fades in, and then it fades out, and comes in. You would tolerate that because you didn't have many choices to hear the Rolling Stones or Petula Clark or whoever happened to be on back then, or the Supremes.
Right.
Now, you wouldn't tolerate that. So the contemporary listener wants a good, reliable platform of sound. They want very good content, and it's self-driven by their own desires or wants. So if you want the BBC, if you want National Public Radio, if you want to listen to all news radio in Chicago or Washington, D.C., if you want traffic reports, if you wanted to hear Greek music, if you wanted to hear Afro-Cuban drumming, if you wanted to hear klezmer music, anywhere in the world, you could find it. It's a very small world, like that movie in the 60s. Would let us all sing. It is a small world.
Yes.
And radio and television now is all condensing. YouTube is bringing all this together. So with that kind of competition, what would be relevant for a small AM station like ours? And that would be Main Street.
Exactly.
It would be Hamden, North Haven, New Haven, Woodbridge, Bethany, Wallingford, Cheshire, East Haven, Guilford, North Branford. The communities around our signal.
Correct.
And that's what we focus on. And that's where the content comes in.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a lot of viewers in Vietnam. And I'm sure you have a lot of viewers in Australia.
Exactly.
And maybe in Borneo or Guam.
I hope so.
I know you're number one in Guam. But
I hope so.
television, and for your type of community broadcasting, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But for us and our purposes, we really need to focus on Connecticut and also our Main Street. And that's what people want. That's the content I'm convinced they want.
Let me ask you this question. We talked about transmitters and towers and everything. Where is the transmitter for AM 1220 WQUN? Is it at the base of the Sleeping Giant?
No, the studios are located on Whitney Avenue.
I know this.
So we're right there, and that is Whitney, Route 10, Whitney Avenue.
Yep.
In Mount Carmel section.
Yes.
Right off of the Route 40 Mount Carmel connector.
Right.
But we also have Denslow Hill Road is where our twin towers are located.
Okay.
You can see them from the Wilbur Cross Parkway in certain locations. Our LED red blinking lights.
All right.
Will blink back and wink at you. You can see them.
I'm sure you've seen them. I'm sure you've been up there more than once.
I have not been up to the top, but I've been at the base and I've been near them. So that's where our twin towers are located. And they do have to be lit because anything over 200 feet has to be lit per the Federal Aviation Administration. The FAA requires that.
Really? I didn't, just because of in case somebody's flying a plane. And
Yeah, or drones.
or drones.
Yeah,
Really?
I mean, we could have drones. That's a scary thought,
That
but
is
somebody could be
not-
putting a
that's-
drone up there unmanned that could whack into a radio tower, and I'm sure it's going to happen at some point.
I'm sure.
Or television tower.
Exactly, exactly. So as far as the station goes, what types of programming do you guys have to offer?
A lot of community news. We bill ourselves as great music, local news.
Yes.
Pop hits of the 60s, 70s, 80s, a lot of contemporary artists. Everything you get from Frank Sinatra, The Fifth Dimension, Carpenters, moving right through the 70s. You'll hear the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
You'll hear Michael Bublé. You'll hear contemporary music as well from newer artists as well, Celine Dion. So we're really quite a long stretch of music. But we were a standard station for many years. We'll still hear Perry Como. You'll still hear Tony Bennett and all that local content and information. And Pete Mezzetti.
That's
so
yeah, Pete
what else
Mezzetti's
can we
even
say?
show-
So we're very happy to be able to serve the
I
community
was
that
going to
way.
say, Pete Mezzetti's even shown up in the
That's
aspect
right.
of. Well, Ray, before we say goodnight, I just want to thank you for coming down, and hopefully we'll have you on again.
It's great to come down here. I love being down here on the shoreline, and you have a great facility here in Westbrook,
you.
a wonderful staff.
Thank you. Ray Andrewsen, we'll see you again soon.
Great.
On behalf of Ray Andrewsen, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next week.